going on? We got October 20th. It's 10:38 a.m. I just got woke up, went to the gym, and I had an interview at 9, and then I gotta go wash my clothes after I do this. I gotta eat something as well. I forget. I keep forgetting about that. Um, then I gotta go hang out with some friends later, and then yeah. Um, Dude, I don't know if anyone else has experienced this, but I've done a few interviews this past week. I think three, and every time I go into the interview, they don't ask me any questions. Like they don't ask me about anything. They just like tell me, okay, this is what we're gonna do next. Is that a bad thing or a good thing? Because the one job that happened, I got the job, and the other one I got it, um, but I got a point on my license and I'm under 21, so they couldn't like insure me on what they needed. And then this one, I don't know what it's gonna lead to this one, but does that happen to anyone else? I don't know. But I just want to come on here, basically talk about value not being seen from other people, like they're not seeing your value and seeing it within yourself. Um, because I know a lot of the time I catch myself like needing the validation, but I gotta remind myself as well that everything's gonna happen the time it needs to happen. You know what I mean? And I think the first thing, me and my friend were actually talking about this, and he put it in good perspective for me. They don't need to see the value for it to be real, and like why our worth isn't up for debate really because we make our own worth. We make what our worth is. We no one else or nothing we do. Well, the habits that we have, yes, make our worth as well, but we control what our worth is. And the way he put it in a good perspective for me was, if a gold mine was around but no one knew about it, anyone could tell that if anyone who would find the gold mine would be able to know. They just haven't found it yet. So even a little kid walking into a gold mine, they're gonna know that it's valuable in there. And then adventurer, they walk in there, obviously they're gonna know that it's valuable. And a lot of the time, I think I forget that where it doesn't matter who sees my gold mine because the gold mine's already there. Just because no one sees it doesn't mean that it's not there. That's why it's not up for debate, and that's why no one needs to see it for it to be real because it's already there. It just hasn't been found yet. You know what I mean? And it's I kind of okay. I'll contradict myself here a little bit because I feel like I do show my value within people and they still don't see it. So then okay, then now that's just a question for you guys. Where do you think that comes into like, where do you think the balance of that is? Because I feel like, yes, I know that my value is my value and I pick what the value is, but if I'm showing that value out, how can people not see it? Like, if anyone can walk into the gold mine and see the gold mine, how are people missing it? But then I think again, once again, I'll contradict myself. I think when people who don't see their own worth and know their own value, they can't see someone else's value. I've said that a few times where I can't be upset that you don't see who I am because you can't see yourself. You don't have an understanding of yourself, so how could you ever understand someone else? You know what I mean? But yeah, let me know what you guys think about that because me saying it out loud now is just it's opening my eyes to more perspective of it. Um, you're not underrated. It's just early. Understanding timing and unseen growth. So once like I just said, not knowing when it's gonna come of people understanding and just being able to be patient and give yourself that grace that it hasn't come yet. You've came to the realization of your value before anyone else has. But I feel like that's a good thing really because a lot of the time people get to a point by just straight discipline and then they're able to see their value from other people's validation. But when you're able to gain the validation inside yourself before accomplishing like the big thing that makes you your value, I feel like that's bigger than anything else because now I can take that value and I can put it into whatever I want, because I feel like a lot of the time when people are, they don't know their own value, but they're successful in something, they pick that success off of the opportunity that got, instead of putting that value into what they really want to do. Because I feel like that's really, that's the goal of life, is to flourish in what you know you're good at. You know what I mean? Because everyone's good at something, but a lot of people just don't go and find it, or they do, but they don't chase that as their ability, that as their income as well. You know what I mean? Because I feel like with a lot of inspirations and stuff and a lot of hobbies and things that people are good at, they can make that a career, but they've seen their value too late. So now they're successful in something that's the only thing that they know. So now the comfortability comes into where I'm scared to go anywhere else. I don't want to give that what I have up already, because I know that's working for me. You know what I mean? That's why I feel like it's good to understand your value before others can know your value, because now you're able to determine what your future is and what your reality is going to become. You know what I mean? And it kind of leads into the next topic of stop waiting to be chosen, becoming the person who gives yourself the validation. So I feel like it's a conscious, when you first start and you first realize what your value is, now it's a conscious decision to make day in and day out, and then it becomes a unconscious thing, because now it's just a lifestyle. So you become that person by consciously making the decision of not being chosen by other people, and you're going to choose yourself. So now I'm going to consciously choose myself day in and day out, and I know it's going to get to a point where now it's a lifestyle, and now it's, I'm unconsciously doing it, and I'm able to validate myself without needing anyone else, because our validation for ourselves is way more important than anyone else, because no one will ever understand our true value. No one ever. Yes, people will get glimpses into it and understand there is value, but not the full value. You're the only person to know your full value, because you got to think, when you interact with people, that's the only time you guys ever interact. They don't see you day to day, so they don't know what you actually bring. So except like with relationships and everything, but even in relationships, they don't know your full value, because you guys still have that separation time of going to work or hanging out with your friends or like doing your own hobbies. So no one will really ever know except you, because you're the only one there day to day. So you have to be able to choose yourself. You don't have to be chosen by anyone else. You just have to choose yourself. So then now you can make the conscious decision to become better, and then you become the person who can validate yourself without needing anyone else. You know what I mean? Oh, dude, this is crazy. I wrote that down because I just talked about like you can't expect other people. Well, it's been in my mind for a long time, but like I consistently add things into other podcasts that I talked about before. But next thing, you can't expect people to see what you haven't owned yet. So okay, so kind of not actually, but that's not the same thing I was thinking about. But you can't expect other people to know your value without you knowing it first. So you have to become that person who can validate yourself before other people can validate you. Because if you expect other people to do it for you, do you really value yourself? You know what I mean? Like if you're expecting someone else to give you that validation, do you trust your own words? You know what I mean? Do you trust yourself? Because you have to trust yourself to be able to believe in yourself. You know what I mean? Like you have to trust yourself to have the faith that is going to get better and you're going to become that person. So we have to once again continuously. Someone's calling you right now. One second. That was a long intermission, but I'm back. I had one phone call that called me, and then my uncle called me, and then another place called me, and then I had to talk to my uncle again. So it's just all. But yeah. I wonder if like I wonder now if I'm in a different mood than I was before, which I feel like I was. But we'll see. We'll see what the, because we're at basically 10 minutes right now. So 10 minutes, and then it'll probably be another like 20 minutes. So we'll see how the rest of the thing goes. But I can't remember where I left off about the expecting people to see what you haven't owned yet. But um yeah, I just feel like I think I was talking about just you becoming that person to validate yourself, like the self mirror effect of self belief. Because if you don't believe it, then no one else can believe it. You know what I mean? So we'll just go to the next topic because I can't really remember where else I left off. Excuse me. But also loving the version of no of you that nobody clapped for, finding fulfillment in our own recognition, because you know who you were for your whole life, like you've seen everything that happened to you. So obviously there's going to be a part here in our life where we were going through things and we had things happen to us that we didn't like. And then there was probably another longer situation where we got the freedom of now not being in that situation. So now we're using our free will too much. So then you become like a douchebag a little bit. Not douchebag, I wouldn't say, but you're using your free will now, but using it too much. You know what I mean? But you love that version even though it was that way, like you still love that version of yourself just because it was you. You know what I mean? Um, I just keep getting so many text messages, getting throw me off. I gotta start putting a do not disturb on when I am doing this, so I'll make sure I do that. But yeah, just reminding yourself and loving all of you. Like no matter what version of you, you love it no matter what because it is you, so you have to love it. You know what I mean? Because and once again, you got to remind yourself that we were human and before we became ourselves, things happened to us that shaped us a little bit. You know what I mean? Like it's kind of like Play-Doh, like we were shaped into this way, but now we're able to shape our own. But we were shaped by our circumstance before we were shaped by ourselves. So we have to be able to remind ourselves to give ourselves the grace and forgiveness for those things that and the person that we were that we were before because it was most of the time it wasn't our fault. We were just learning based off of what we learned before, you know? And so that's why you have to remind yourself to continuously give yourself that love and that person the same love that you give yourself now because I feel like for me I'm becoming the person that I would have been there for myself. You know what I mean? Like I didn't have anyone except my mom, but I am now becoming the person who would have been able to be there for me in that situation. You know what I mean? Like I would have been able to lead myself and you have to continuously lead yourself and make those conscious decisions to lead yourself every day to be able to be that person that you wanted there for you. You know what I mean? And just finding fulfillment in your own recognition. Once again, you see everything that you do have. So that's how. So when I bring up like using trauma as an motivator instead of an excuse, that's what I'm meaning. Like you have the fulfillment in your own self that it doesn't matter what happened to you before. You know what happened to you before and you know what you could have gone down, what path you could have gone down. So when you see the path you're going down now, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't help but feel fulfilled with myself because I know so many people who have fallen into situations that I know that I'm unique in that situation. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy. So just remind yourself that we're human and the things that did happen to us before did shape us, but they don't define us. You know what I mean? It's not in writing. We're just Play-Doh right now. Being overlooked built my character really. How rejection redefines your purpose. So I feel like for me, being overlooked motivated me even more because I know who I am and I know the value that I do bring. So when people don't see it, it's like, oh, you don't see it? Well, let me show you. So then I show by action and then I show like and not even just action with their interaction that we have, but now when I'm by myself, now I make that action to myself to be able to show that person. You know what I mean? Like that. It's not a specific person, but it's more of a the people who did doubt. Like they get put into a group. So then when I think about quitting or anything, I think about oh, but that person doesn't see who I am, so I got to continuously strive to become that person. You know what I mean? But yeah, because sooner or later the value is going to be seen. So you just have to be able to consistently, consciously make the decision to become better. Then it becomes unconscious, and then other people see it happen. It just we have to be patient with ourselves, and take it takes time. It takes a lot of time. Rejection redefines your purpose. I feel like I've said this before in another podcast. Rejection is redirection. So when you get rejected, that is the opportunity to redirect yourself into energy, into something to put your energy into that is meant for you. Because I feel like a lot of the time we force things because in this society we're kind of meant to force things. Like you're meant to get a job, get a job, get a job, and you get yourself into a position and you become good in that position, and then you just like you realize it's not for you. But if you're able to get the rejection and get the redirection, then you can continuously put yourself in the position to do what you were meant to do. You know what I mean? So just being able to take the rejection as redirection to be able to look at what can be for you instead of what you try to force. Because I know a lot of time when I try to force something, it ends up bad because it's not meant for me. And things really aren't meant for you. I feel like a lot of people, they think that, oh, you can't have feelings in anything because if you do, then that's just going to screw you over. But you have to have feelings in things because that's how you feel. What do you mean I can't have feelings in this? Like, if I don't feel right about it, why would I continuously do it? You know what I mean? But there's a difference once again between the like unconscious thoughts that we have that are trying to distract you and the feeling that you have when you're in a situation that you know you forced or that you didn't even know that you forced, but you're having that gut feeling. You know what I mean? And people say like, oh, to get rid of that feeling, get rid of that feeling. But I think about it like if I stayed in insurance, I think about who I would have become and who the guys I seen that I could have become in my own way. Like the mentor I had there, he talked like I told him about the feeling that I was having, and he was like, "Yeah, I have that feeling too. Like it really doesn't go away." And I'm like, why would you want to continuously have that for yourself? You know what I mean? Like, but I think it's once again because he just got too deep in, so now he's successful at it, and he can't really go back. You know what I mean? But my guy, bro, my guy though, proving yourself to yourself, the most important audience is you. The most important person to prove things to is yourself. It doesn't matter who's gonna be able to like. It doesn't matter who's gonna give you the opinion and gonna give you the oh yeah, the clap because you can give yourself that clap day in and day out. I'm gonna hear myself clap for myself every single day. All you do is talk about positivity because no one else will. So you have to be able to validate yourself and prove to yourself that you are who you say you are. Because a lot of the time you can be lying to yourself and telling you're this person and you want these things in your life to happen, but if you don't really prove it to yourself that you do, you're lying to yourself. So you have to continuously, once again, make the conscious decision to prove yourself. Then it becomes an unconscious decision. And then long enough over time, people are going to see that unconscious decision grow to fruition. So then now you're successful in something or you're becoming successful in something and people are seeing it now. So you have to be the audience for yourself before you see the audience in anyone else. Because once again, it comes from within that starts to make the conscious decisions to shape your reality because now when you make those conscious decisions that become unconscious, then your reality shapes around you because you're doing it over a consistent period of time. So then now there's nothing to but to be, you know what I mean? There's nothing to do but to be. So it's really like it's undeniable. You have to become undeniable within what's happening, no matter if you have the audience around you, no matter if the progress is being showed, no matter if you feel good about it or not, or you think that the progress isn't being held, it's happening. But we just have to be patient enough to be able to see that it's going to happen. Um, and once again, we're gonna talk about God here because God is a big part of my life. So realistically, if you don't want to talk about God, I'd get off of this video because that's the only two other topics I got left. But God saw you when no one else did. Before you even saw yourself, God saw you. So that's the only validation you need. Your higher being knowing and seeing you and valuing you, that's the only thing that you have to worry about. And it's crazy I'm saying this now. I'm thinking back to church. My pastor was talking about how God saw you before anyone else did, and that's the only validation that you need. And that might be why I wrote this topic down. But he saw you as who you are, and people take that lightly. Like he was saying, he was like, people take that lightly, but if you really sit down and think about that, God, your higher being, takes you for who you are and knows your value and understands you. Think about that really. Think about that really. Because think about all the times that you try and have people understand in this real world that don't understand, but your higher being who you lean on understands. You know what I mean? That's all you need. That's all you need. That's the only validation you will ever need, because in my opinion, I think God is within everyone, and God gives us that inspiration that we do have. So when we are able to validate ourselves, I mean, when we know that He's validating us, we are able to validate ourselves. Because if He knows, and not He, if it knows, then that's all we need to know, because that's where our inspiration comes from. That's where our beliefs come from. That's where our, well, not beliefs. I feel like beliefs are like worldly as well, because situational. Like I think about, if I was born in a different country, I wouldn't consider myself like religious to the religion that's here. You know what I mean? Like I don't consider myself religious in the first place, but if I were to be somewhere else, I definitely wouldn't. But I used to consider myself religious, so I wouldn't have even considered myself religious at all. But maybe I would have considered myself religious and like for a different religion, but that's a whole nother topic. Um, Sorry, my legs are getting tight. Um, but yeah, reminding ourselves, and we are a part of God. And I feel like I'm continuously trying to become like God. Like I'm trying to my my actions that I'm trying to have, I'm trying to resemble my higher being. So I feel like once again, then that's the going back to, you have to be your own audience. Like you have to be able to, or just proving yourself to yourself. Like you have to prove it to yourself, because that's proving it to your higher being. Because a lot of people don't unlock their higher being, and they get these inspirations, but they don't act on them. So then you not proving it to yourself is not proving it to your higher being. So you have to be able to be there for yourself, because at the end of the day, we're trying to be closer like God. Like if you say you don't, if you're egotistical and you're like, oh, God's not higher than anyone, then what are you doing it for? If you're not trying to grow and become closer like your higher being, then what are you doing it for? Like what, you're scared because if you don't, there's consequences? Like that's the real world stuff that's going on. Like that's what you're being taught in this real world, that oh, you have to fear, fear, fear. Yes, I'm a God-fearing man, because I know my higher being is almighty. But I'm not going to let that control me. Like I'm going to, my relationship with him is why I act the way I am, not the scarcity that I have of him. Yes, I'm a God-fearing man day to day, but I didn't become close with God because I was fearful of him. I became close because I understood the love and compassion and grace and forgiveness that he has given all of us. All of us. No matter if you open the door or not, he has given it to you. It has given it to you. I'm sorry I keep saying he. Bro, I go to a Christian church, so they always talk about Jesus and always talk about he, but I don't believe that. Like I don't. And I was always scared, like, and I'm kind of still am. Like I'm scared to say that to people in church, because I know perspective is reality in the world. And I know if I were to say something like that, like they wouldn't believe a word or they would just try to like demoralize me and then try to like push me down on their rankings, because you know how religions are with the rankings and everything. But they would like try and push me down, but I know who I am, you know what I mean? And I know I understand the relationship that I have with my higher being. And yeah. So if anyone is seeing this from church, I hope that you understand, because first of all, for you to even be watching this, you have to understand a little bit. But for you to understand now what I'm saying, I hope you take me the same way as you did before, because I feel like my spiritual belief and your religious belief do not define how we connect. You know what I mean? Like that's you have your own thing and I have my own thing. And we go through that day in and day out as well where we all have our own ideas and own perspectives and own judgment and own likes and dislikes. So we can't let what this is like with us having different perspectives try to change our friendship. And there's really like I would say I only have 1.5 or 2.5 real friendships in church. So it really doesn't matter if you like it or not. You can, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter because my life's still going to be the same way. Your life's still going to be the same way. So why not be able to gain different perspectives from each other? You know what I mean? Because I say I'm spiritual because I see truth in all religions. Like I feel like there's they're all chasing something. They're all chasing this big, like the golden rule, I guess you could say. Like they're chasing the big thing, but they're all chasing it in their own ways. So why wouldn't you, instead of following man-made religion, why wouldn't you just follow the big thing in your own way? You know what I mean? But yeah, that's a whole once again, a whole nother topic we could go into, which I'm kind of feeling more confident about doing. So we might see where that's going. I don't feel confident about doing it yet because I feel like I'm not. I'm definitely on the walk with my higher being, but I don't feel like I've got deep enough to be able to give a full opinion about it yet. You know what I mean? Because definitely still have my cognitive dissociance, and I need to work on that. But once again, we're human. Um, become who you needed to believe in become who you needed to believe in you, turning self-doubt into faith. So basically the same thing, like you proving yourself to yourself is you proving yourself to your higher being. Because once again, we are that higher being. We just haven't taken the natural steps and conscious steps to become closer to that being. Because in okay, in Bibles, they tell you what to do and what not to do. So that's basically, and they say that's from God, but the people who made it are man-made. I mean, were the people who made the Bible were made by God, but they still have free will. So you don't have an idea if you don't have an idea if they modified something or not. So that's why I don't follow like one certain one because there are those weird little texts that they can get away with because the Bible's so big. So that's another reason. But just reminding yourself that there is a higher being and we're taking conscious steps to become closer to that higher being day in and day out. And that's really all I have. Turning your self-doubt into faith, I feel like that's kind of like that's because a lot of the time, okay, so I'll kind of go more into depth to that because we still got 2.5 minutes. And I'm not even like setting a time frame, but I like 30 minute. Like I like a 30-minute situation right there. Um, but turning the self doubt into faith, I feel like is a big difference because it's like okay, so when you use your trauma as an excuse, that's using it as a self doubt. But when you use your trauma as a motivation, that's the faith because now you're able to you know what it is because a lot of the time in religion they talk about having the faith no matter if it's going good or not. So when those bad things are happening and we have the trauma from it now, you can either use it as an excuse and you can let it hold you down, or you can let it be a motivation for you because you're continuously becoming better. You know what happened to yourself and you know that you shouldn't be in this position, but you have faith within yourself, which means you have faith within your higher being that you can become more and the belief is within that starts and then everyone else can start believing in you once you believe in yourself first. You have to believe in yourself first so other people can believe in yourself. And yeah, I hope you guys have a good rest of your Tuesday. We're gonna crush it today. I hope your Monday went good. Money Monday. And then I hope the rest of the weekend goes good as well. I'll see you guys on Hump Day. Pumpkin. I was thinking I went to a haunted house this weekend and there was an actor in a pumpkin thing and we just kept saying that every time we saw him. Pumpkin. So I'll catch you guys later. Good things are on the way.